In this video I'll show taking this panel and arching the top of it to match the serpentine of the stone a little bit closer. So there's a lot of different ways of doing this, but for this instance what I'm going to do is I'll select the black outline of the stone. I clicked and it didn't quite get the black one, so if I hold down Alt and click again, it will dig deeper to whatever's behind that, so now I know and I can see that that's the one that's been selected. So since that's selected, I will hit delete, and then what I'm going to do is I'll just take my free hand and I'm going to draw a line, a reference line. I've got snapping set, so snap to objects, I have that turned on, and if I move my cursor here along this line, then once I get to the midpoint, it says right there midpoint, and then it gives me a little triangle icon there. So if I click on that and then drag down, while I'm doing that I can hold Control if I want to keep it in line. Not really necessary because I'm just going to snap to the midpoint of the bottom one as well. But once I get down to that midpoint, then I'll click again, and that gives me a line that is that same height. The reason that we're doing that is because what I want to do is take my shape tool now, and I'm going to click on our panel so that it's selected, and this top line I want to make sure that instead of being a line, which it is now, if I just click and drag, you'll see it drags that line straight up. So instead of being a line, I want to turn it to a curve, so I can come up here and say convert to curve, or I just hit the number 2 on the keyboard. And I want to do the same thing for this bottom line, just select it and hit 2 on the keyboard. So what I can do is click here, and I'm just going to move my cursor over to where I've got my black line, right? And that way I know that I'm in the center there of my line. So I click there and I drag up. While I drag, I'm going to hold the Control button, and that way it's going to constrain my drag to a straight line, and then I let go. And I'm just going to eyeball this. You could measure it if you wanted to, but I prefer just to eyeball it and make sure it looks good. So that's what I'm going to do there. So now we've got the top of the panel curved to match the die. If we want to do the same thing for the bottom, that's another reason that I created this line here. So we're selecting that with our pick tool, and I can shift select the panel and then hit T, and that's going to then bring it to the top, or align it to the top. So then I can come back and grab down here again and drag up until it snaps to that node, and that way we know that our piece is going to be the same height that it used to be, and we can just delete that. Once we've got that done, we can select it and just hit fill or frosted outline, or Alt F on the keyboard, and what that will do is it will rebuild our outline for us for our panel. So now we have a panel that has been curved to match the top of the SERP there.